Elizabeth Audencream.
This one's wife. Papa don't speak. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Well, he left me a voicemail message proclaiming that he needed help, but now it would appear that the ginger dandelion, the Prince of Pink Pancake's attention has turned to the fact that Pa won't speak to him. Jennifer Newton writes in the Mirror, Prince Harry's calls to his father, King Charles, are going unanswered, with the pair not on speaking terms due to one long-running issue, according to a source. There had been a glimmer of hope, probably from Harry's perspective, that the pair were starting to repair their rift, especially after they met when Harry dashed to the United Kingdom, after it was announced that Charles had been diagnosed with cancer. However, weeks later, when the Duke of Sussex returned to the United Kingdom for a 10th anniversary service for the Invictus Games at St. Paul's Cathedral, there was no meeting between the duo, with Harry suggesting his dad was too busy to schedule in a meeting. Or more likely, Charles thought, meet with that traitorous little shit? You've got to be kidding me. Now, sources close to the Sussexes have claimed that Harry's calls to his dad are going unanswered. Boo-hoo-hoo. Everybody feels sorry for Prince Harry. Poor little ginger boy. Pa isn't replying, as he tries to discuss his security arrangements with his father. This once again demonstrates the self-absorbed sense of entitlement that Harry has come to exhibit as a consequence of the way that his worldview has been warped. How about ringing up your dad to see how he is? How about ringing up your dad to find out how Catherine's doing? How about ringing up your dad to say, have you been watching the Olympics? Britain are doing really well, aren't they? Fantastic start. Best start of the modern Olympics that have been witnessed over the last few days. Which events have you been watching, Pa? How are the jam sales going? I understand that Highgrove's doing rip-roaring trade there. Can't think what prompted that. Oh no. Instead, it's he wants to ring up to discuss his security arrangements with his father. Undoubtedly, Charles would be thinking, it's that little shit calling again, idiot boy. The fact is, the Duke has been embroiled in a long-running battle over his security when he comes to the UK after he automatically lost the right to his police protection when he stepped down as a working royal. He lost his subsequent court battles to have it reinstated for him, wife, this one's wife, and their 2 children, and is planning an appeal. Harry believes his dad could help to have this reinstated, although this has been dismissed as wholly inaccurate. And now a friend of Harry's, known as this one's wife, told the magazine, he gets unavailable right now. His calls go unanswered. He has tried to reach out about the King's health, but those calls go unanswered too. While another friend added, Harry is frightened and feels the only person who can do anything about it is his father. Harry is determined to protect his own family at all costs. Thus, Harry, and of course this one's wife, simply don't get why Charles, if this is accurate, isn't taking the calls. The fact is that the behaviour of Harry and this one's wife is problematic. They smeared the royal family. They caused problems in relation to William, in relation to Kate, in relation to Charles, in relation to Camilla. Anybody would regard such behaviour as reprehensible, but also remember in relation to Charles it similarly threatens his need for control. And therefore Harry has become painted black. Many of you will say, quite rightly so. Well, indeed. But that doesn't detract from the fact that he has been painted black, with the consequence that means that every time that he comes up on Charles's radar, Charles essentially views him as a boil on the bum that hasn't been lanced yet, and therefore doesn't want to deal with him. He's also aware that the most effective way of dealing with the gruesome twosome is to ignore them. And therefore, when that call comes through, either there's a standing instruction that if it's Harry, take a message, and that's it, don't put him through to the king, or that if the call comes in and the king is notified about it, he decides that he's watching an episode of Midsummer Murders and can't be asked talking to Ginger Bollocks. Either way, he issues a corrective devaluation against Harry in order to nullify the threat to control that Harry poses with his pestering. Having been painted black for his conduct, and similarly that of this one's wife, Charles is simply responding in a way to nullify the threat to control that this one's wife and Harry pose each time they come up on his radar. This isn't an arbitrary response. Most people would agree that this is the appropriate way to deal with him. After all, the way that him and this one's wife have behaved towards the royal family as a whole has been disgusting. But the fact is, it's also driven by Charles's own need for control and the painting black of Harry. So you get the utilisation of the truth, as people understand it to be, which is the motivation for nullifying the threat to control posed by Harry's telephone calls, so they go unanswered. Bear in mind, of course, that it wouldn't necessarily be beyond the Sussex PR machine to claim that the calls are being unanswered when in actual fact no calls are even being made. And, of course, to leak that information to the press to try and make it look like that once again it's the royal family who are the big baddies and the Sussexes are simply trying to get along with people, trying to do the right thing, and they are the ones that are being frozen out. Thus, it could well be that this one's wife and Harry are inventing the fact of making these calls. It wouldn't be the first time that porcupines have been told in that regard in order to try and engender some degree of public sympathy. Or it is the truth that the calls are not being answered, with good reason, as I've explained, and once again, this one's wife and Harry, rather than keep their mouths shut about it and deal with family matters privately, they have to go leaking to the press in order to nullify the threat to control, from this one's wife's perspective, posed by the failure to answer these calls. That she and Harry can't deal with it privately, they never can. They never keep it within the family. They have to bleat and complain and whine externally. This is because Harry has been encouraged to do so by his wife, and his general brattiness has been exacerbated by her encouragement. And as you all know, when it comes to this one's wife, she can't keep matters quiet because she needs the world to know that she's lovely and everybody is horrible to her. The fact that Charles is not responding, if this is accurate, to the calls is hardly a surprise. And once again, it is the narcissistic dynamic and its understanding of it that allows you to realise why these behaviours are taking place. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.